This isn't a tech drama story. It's a survival guide. Because when the tools shift, solo devs like us don't get warnings. We get broken workflows. If you're new here, I'm Daniel. I've been building iOS apps for almost 8 years, mostly freelancing. But since Dub 2025, I've gone fully solo. Just me, SwiftUI, Xcode, and a handful of AI tools like Claude, Cursor, and GPT. This channel's all about building smarter, staying nimble, and being real about the indie dev life. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so let's just start with the question that's been bouncing around my brain for weeks. What happened with Windsurf? If you're even a little bit plugged into dev tools, you probably caught the headlines. Maybe you scrolled past it. Maybe a friend DM'd you like. But if you're building apps solo, especially if you've been riding the AI tooling wave like a lot of us, this one hit different because this wasn't just another startup got acquired. Now there's a new logo situation. This was one of those moments where the ground actually shifts under your stack, where the tool you just started getting into, the one that finally felt like it understood how solo devs actually build, suddenly flips the table. Windsurf started out as a fork of VS Code, right? But it wasn't just a clone. It was fast. It was smart. It had these buttery smooth AI workflows that made Cursor look slow. And people like me, indie builders, freelancers, weekend app tinkerers, we were actually excited about an editor again. Then came the open AI rumors. $3 billion for a code editor, and not just any editor. One built by a small team, bootstrapped energy that finally made dev tooling feel fun again. But the deal didn't happen. Instead, the founder and most of the core team jumped ship to Google, not a flashy acquisition, just a quiet hiring spree. They licensed the tech, grabbed the brains, and left the rest of the company behind. So Windsurf still technically exists. But the people, the actual magic that made the thing what it was, gone. And if you've ever bet on a tool, if you've ever let yourself get just a little too comfortable with a new part of your stack, you know exactly what that feels like. So here's where things started to unravel. At first, it looked like a done deal. OpenAI wanted to buy Windsurf, $3 billion. Everyone was talking like it was already in the bag, like people were prepping their how I built a unicorn blog posts and startup podcasts were queuing up interviews. But then silence, no announcement, no press release, just this awkward quiet. And you could feel the energy start to shift. Like when a friend tells you they're just figuring out some things with their startup, and you kind of already know what that means. Turns out the problem was deeper than cold feet. Microsoft, who's tightly linked with OpenAI and also owns VS Code, had this clause that basically said, anything OpenAI buys, we get access to it too. And Windsurf is literally built on VS Code. So yeah, if OpenAI had gone through with the acquisition, they would have been handing their $3 billion purchase right back to Microsoft for free. Not exactly a great move. Enter Google. But instead of buying Windsurf outright, they pulled a move straight out of the big tech playbook. They hired the founder, scooped up the core R&D team, and licensed the IP. No messy acquisition, no antitrust red flags. Just poof, the team's gone. And that's the part that stings. Because when the people behind a tool leave, especially a tool you've just started to love, it doesn't really matter if the product technically still exists. What you were actually betting on was them, their taste, their updates, their weird late night commits that made the thing feel alive. Now they're at DeepMind, and what's left? A name, a shell, maybe some contracts, but not the version of Windsurf that solo devs like us got excited about. I get it. Maybe this Windsurf thing sounds like just another round of startup drama, and part of you is probably thinking, cool story, but I've got bugs to fix. Totally fair. But here's the thing. These stories aren't just background noise anymore. They are the tools we use. And when you're building solo, no team, no IT guy, no safety net, what happens to those tools suddenly becomes your problem because we don't have layers of abstraction. We are the abstraction. If a tool gets acquired, rebranded, or suddenly decides it wants to pivot to enterprise compliance dashboards, we feel it in our momentum, in our flow, in our shipping speed, sometimes in our sanity. And it's not like we can just wait 6 months for procurement to approve a new workflow. We have to adapt instantly. That's why this stuff matters, not in a tech gossip way, but in a very real, will I still be able to work the way I like to next week kind of way. So yeah, even if you've never touched Windsurf, the bigger pattern is still worth paying attention to because it's not about that one editor. It's about all the little pieces of our workflow that could change overnight. This whole Windsurf mess, it's not a one-off. It's just the latest example of a pattern that's been playing out again and again. And if you've been building solo for a while, you've probably felt it too. A new tool shows up. It's fast, focused, clearly made by people who actually get how we work. Suddenly your workflow feels smoother. Your ideas move quicker from brain to build, and for a moment everything clicks. Then something shifts. The changelogs get vague, the Discord goes quiet, the founders start tweeting less about new features and more about next chapters. You can almost feel the vibe draining out of it, like a party that's technically still happening, but everyone cool already left. And yeah, it might still work for now. But deep down, you already know this tool is not for you anymore. That's the pattern, and it's happening faster these days. The moment something gains traction, VC money shows up, big companies circle, and before you know it, the people who built it, the ones you were quietly rooting for, are gone. It's not even malicious. Everyone's just trying to survive the game. But when the builders leave, the soul goes with them. And if you're a solo dev who depends on these tools to ship your ideas, you're the one who feels it first. Here's the thing about building solo: no matter how dialed in your setup feels, it's always a little fragile. Like, yeah, today everything's running smooth. Your editor's fast, your AI assistant's smart, your CI pipeline mostly behaves. But deep down, you kind of know it could all break tomorrow. And that's not paranoia. That's just the nature of the solo game. We don't have IT departments or ops teams catching stuff before it slips. We are the infrastructure. So when a tool gets sunset or gobbled up by a big company or pivots into something completely different, we don't get a memo. We get a broken workflow at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I've started thinking of my stack like a campsite. Set it up, use what works, make it feel like home for a bit, but always be ready to pack it up and move if the weather shifts. It's not about being cynical. It's about staying mobile. If Claude disappears, or Cursor goes weird, or your favorite lib suddenly starts asking you to sign in with Microsoft, you want to be able to shrug, switch gears, and keep building. Because yeah, the chaos is real, but so is the momentum you've built, and that's worth protecting. Now, if you're on the other side of this, building your own tool or even just thinking about it, this is the part I'd lean in for, because watching Windsurf unfold, it's clear. The tech didn't vanish, the people did, and once they left, the energy left with them. That's what I've started paying more attention to lately, not just what a product does, but how it feels. Does it feel like someone actually built this for folks like us? Is there a sense of care in the details? Do the updates reflect the stuff actual users have been asking for? Because when you're building something for indie devs, that vibe matters way more than you think. It's not just about features, it's about trust, about momentum, about letting users feel like they're part of something that's still growing, still listening, still alive. And if you're building, that's your edge. You're not some faceless SaaS trying to land a Fortune 500 deal. You can actually talk to your users. You can show up in the forums. You can ship a tiny fix on a Sunday afternoon and have someone thank you and DM. But the flip side is real too. If you disappear or sell out or start talking like a PR department instead of a person, indie devs will feel that instantly. We've seen the pattern, we know the signs. So, yeah, build something solid, but also stay human. That's what makes the difference out here. All right, if you've made it this far, first off, you're my kind of dev. Seriously, the kind who stays curious, watches the weather, and still shows up to build anyway. That's rare. And it means you get it. That the tools are temporary, but your momentum is what really matters. And yeah, the Windsurf story is wild, but it's also not the last one. We're probably going to see more of this. Great tools disappearing, teams getting scooped up, vibes shifting. The best thing we can do is stay light on our feet, build things that are actually useful, and keep moving. So if you're in the middle of switching tools or maybe mourning one that went corporate, drop a comment. I want to hear what you're using, what you're loving, what's working for you right now. Let's turn this comment section into a little indie dev radar station. And hey, if you got something out of this, the best way to support the channel is to hit like, subscribe, and maybe check out my Patreon. That's where I share bonus breakdowns, behind the scenes stuff, and early previews of the tools I'm experimenting with. But most of all, just keep going, keep building, stay scrappy, stay curious, because the tools will keep changing. But you're doing the real work. All right, keep crafting. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.